In July 2005, 25 Tlingit, Haida and Tsimshian elders gathered in Juneau, Alaska to speak and listen and meet with one another, to tell stories about their lives, their clans, their nations, and their land. Stories about embracing family and community wellness. The year before, these same elders had met to agree upon a common set of traditional tribal values. Those values were then taken to the 69th Annual Delegates Assembly of the tribe and unanimously adopted. They are as follows: discipline and obedience to the traditions of our ancestors, respect for self, elders, and others, respect for nature and property, patience. Pride in family, clan, and traditions is found in love, loyalty, and generosity. Be strong in mind, body, and spirit. Humor. Hold each other up. Listen well and with respect. Speak with care. We are stewards of the air, land, and sea. Reverence for our Creator. Live in peace and harmony. Be strong and have courage. These are the stories they told.
Hey, my name is Ralph Knudson Sr. I'm from Juneau. I grew up in Juneau, actually born in Port Altrip, 1931. I'll be 74 this coming August. My Tlingit name is Knudson. I'm from the Juneau tribe. My house is in Knudson in Juneau. It's torn down now, burned down during a fire. All our tribal houses were gone at that time during the big fire we had there. So they rebuilt it, but they had different house masters in there after. And I grew up not knowing my given name of Ralph. I was given a nickname like Scooter's got, but mine was in Tlingit. I grew up with the name Kashan. In our language, it means old man. How I came about that name was I was been baptized Orthodox. And Orthodox, they kind of measure your years by cutting your hair into the water, blessed water. If you float on top, you're going to be long, long years. But I guess my hair was so blonde because of being part Norwegian that they couldn't find any hair to cut, so they just kind of faked it. And that's how I got the name Kashan. So I grew up with that, not knowing anything else till I went to school. I found out my name is Ralph. To keep on going on that line, after my first son was born, my name was transferred to him. They call him Little Kashan. And he grew up with that name too. So when we moved to Juneau here to have our last baby, they went to Harborview School. So the teacher asked him after he first came to school, "What's your name, little boy?" He told him Kashan. That's all he knew too, was Kashan. So the teacher had her phone number, so she called up, and I was out, I forgot what I was doing. But she called up and asked my wife, there's little boys here, his name's Knudson, but he says his name is Kaushan. She couldn't say Kaushan, so she said Kaushan. So she finally, my wife had to tell him that he was Ralph Knudson Jr. So that's, and he still got that name. And now we have number 3. And I was just telling one of the guys here that what I laid down is that keychain. There's an army of one. I got that from my grandson who's down in the Mojave Desert right now trading, getting ready for Iraq. Excuse me. We're hoping that he doesn't make that trip, but if he does, he's going to be in our prayer all the time. Now to get on with what we're actually here for, Scooter asked me to talk mostly on respect. Respect is it's a word that you gotta respect to earn your respect. If you don't respect it, you don't get the respect that you're supposed to be getting. Respect goes 2 ways. You respect someone, they in turn will respect you for what you are and who you are. Right now, our children are growing up without that knowledge. We as becoming elders now grew up with that, knowing that the respect from the time we were small. You respect your elders. You respect your mother, your father, your brothers and sisters. And mainly they told us, respect the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the way you get your food from, respect that. Do not abuse it. So we learned that we do it, or we respect it. If we don't respect it, we lose it. Now, like my Aunt Fanny said, we're losing a lot of stuff. Excuse me. Why? Because they have put a limit on us of what we can do. I remember the days when I was growing up at fish camp, what you call Yanshuka, is where we used to go. Big bundles, dry fish for the winter, for ourselves and for bartering for different things, different people. Now, fishing game says you can only have 20. Where we used to have bundles and bundles and bundles of dry fish. Different time of the year for different kind of fish. The last one that I think was put up was a chum salmon, because when you dry it, it becomes really hard. So that was the one we put up last for in the wintertime. We take it and put it in the gunny sack, tie it up, drop it overboard for about a week, then bring it back ashore and cook it up with potatoes. We call that tea. It was nice and tender, soft, tasty. It's been in the good salt water. That's before water became polluted. This is how we grew up. And what we learned as youngsters, I'm sorry to say, we passed on to the Caucasian people. Now they know they got the smokeries. They're selling smoked fish and all this. And they're starting all this fish farms. And Fanny talked about it. I've seen that fish slide off the meat slide off the skin. It's not, It's not worth the time or the effort to even put up that kind of fish. It's a waste of time. It's not like the wild stock we got. Fishing game is always somehow messing up. They cleaned out one stream up in the Glacier Bay, one of our cold streams. They cleaned it up, took all the logs, everything out of the creek, so the fish could have a good clean highway to go up. But they don't know it. They don't know the true meaning of that stumps and limbs and everything that's in the creek and all these banks. The way I was told, all that stuff is the fish grandparents. So if they see something that's going to threaten them, they go under the tree or the bank or the stump, something where they can hide. They call it the Tlingit. The Tlingit, meaning he took refuge in his grandparents' arms. So what they did, nothing came back. So they finally they were told by the elders, put all that stuff back and the fish will come back. So they did, and the crows came back. So, they don't consult any one of us about anything like this. No, we got learned elders. Aunt Fanny knows more than I do. Not just because she's older, but because she's wiser and had more training than I had. See, I'm just one of the spokesmen for our tribe, the Juneau tribe. We've got leaders that do actual talking. So, to get back to the word respect, our kids nowadays don't know the meaning of the word. You talk the talk, and some of them say, shut up, you're old-fashioned, get out of here. They won't stop and listen. Some will stop and listen. They're the ones that get ahead. But the ones that tell you shut up and go peddle it someplace else are the ones you find on the street. Get no place. So I brought up one point yesterday. Why don't we have these people that graduated, or old people, that's in the positions where they're at, like Chris McNeil and Ed Thomas and John Borbich, all these guys, that made a name for themselves during the land suit and all this. Why don't they go out and talk to these kids and say, look, if you want to get here, you better do this first. Meaning, don't drop out, but keep on going. Go as high as you can. Because our dropout rate is getting too doggone high, and we're losing our potential leaders. People think that we've gone as far as we can. No. We're still scratching the surface. We're still scratching the surface of trying to earn our respect in this world, on this land, which is actually ours. We did not sell it. We didn't sell it to nobody. It was taken away from us. And we're compensated, but how far did that compensation go? So these kids coming up nowadays got to learn that there is still fighting going on. You read in the paper, you hear in the radio, so-and-so got ganged on. Well, several, like one kid, Bronnie Willard Jr. Boy went through Vietnam without a scratch. Came back home, done his duty for his country. excuse me, he got beat up. Now he's a cripple. The respect I was shown to a war veteran. He didn't have to go, but he went. Come back unscratched and get to be beaten up like that, to be a cripple. So this is what we're still going on. We still need people to pursue it, what we are really pushing for. Respect is a two-way street. We show them the respect. We want that respect that we show. We're going to be honored with them. They're going to get honorier with us. You know, that doesn't solve nothing. It's like a sore. If you don't treat it, it doesn't heal. If you keep scratching it, it gets worse. Excuse me. But, no, we're going to have to learn to live in harmony. And we can't do that unless we, as the Tlingit people, initiate it. Like the good book says, don't turn the other cheek. And unless we start doing that, we're going to be back in the 20s and 30s where they had big signs, no Indians, Filipinos, or dogs allowed. And we don't want to see that no more. It's not everybody out there, but some that, for some reason or another, saying you're getting corporate money. Why should you be getting corporate money and we're not? Well, they don't stop to think. They're getting the permanent fund. Why should they? That oil is coming out of our land. The gold is coming out of our land. The fish is coming out of our streams. But yet they're benefiting by it. But yet, it's because we get a couple $100 a year from our corporation, think we're rich. We're not. We get more from the permanent fund than we do from our corporations. So this is what some people are misunderstanding, is that, we're not getting rich off our corporation. Our corporation is there creating jobs for some of them, not all of us. So, they've got to know that we respect them too. I got nothing against them because our biggest enemies is ourselves. It's ourselves, I'll say that. Why? Because we see somebody getting up on top, getting up the ladder. We don't like that. We'll do everything and anything to get them back down to our level. Well, some are trying to push them. Most of them are pulling them down. Unless you get out of town like Brother Al, my brother-in-law Al did, went down to lower 48, he got his degree in math in Colorado. That's the only way he can make it. He can't do it here. Because of jealousy, that guy's climbing up too fast, put him back down. And our leaders, we always have something bad to say about them. We don't praise him. Most of us don't praise him. Why? Because we're jealous of the fact that he's there and we're not. But why is he there? Because he sacrificed himself to get to where he's at. It wasn't an easy street. Everybody knows it. Al knows it, you know. If you don't have the money, it's hard to get any place. That's why I tell my kids now, go on to college, learn more. Go. The boys will tell them to go to service. So after you get out of service, you can get your college education paid for. Right now, I got a granddaughter. On Saturday, she's going to be 19 years old. And she's going into the Marine Corps. So she took a tough corps now to be in, but funny thing about it, she barely made it. She made it by 1 inch height to make it into the corps. Another inch shorter, she wouldn't have made it. But she made it by 1 inch, so she's going in the corps now. But like my wife, she talks to her grandkids. She introduced them to each other as brothers and sisters. As there's no word in the Tlingit language for cousins. So that kids know each other by brother and sister, and they refer to each other as such, even though their mothers and fathers are different from each other. But they all grew up like that, and she's after them constantly, especially the boys. Make sure when you go out, you take care of your sisters. So they do. So that's one part of it, and we try to teach them now is do not talk back to an elder, but listen. So what they're doing now, even when their auntie gets mad at them, now they don't sit down, they stop and listen. And that's what the aunties are for. They're supposed to be training the younger ones. And the other ones boys are supposed to be training the nephews like it was in the old days. The mothers and the aunties train the girls on weaving, putting up food, all this household stuff. And the boys were taken by the uncles and trained to hunt and to provide. So all this has been slowly taken away from us, and we don't have that training programs no more for our youngsters. But the only training they get now is carving and weaving. But I think I'll cut it short here now, and because I see my Aunt Fanny's getting kind of sleepy.
Alisaya King Andas Lukunana Digula Digwa Wagina Nuya Daskit Along Kilkana Digula Digwa Yahualihi I Yahualihi I Yahualihi I Yahualihi I Yahualihi I Yahualihi I